Hello and welcome. My name is Kara, and I'm excited to welcome you to this practice. It's just a quick little practice to bring yourself back into your body. It's like saying, welcome home. So, we're just gonna get into things a little bit. I'm gonna first tone the root chakra of frequency, which is just a little signal that tells us to drop in and drop down to the feet and to the legs. And you are welcome to take a seat on your mat. I really like to grab a block and sit up in hero's pose, but if this is uncomfortable for your knees, you can always just do a cross-leg position. And same thing, you can use a block for a cross-leg position and sit up high as well if the knees are bugging you today. So wherever we are with our seat, let's pay attention because this is our foundation, and it's the foundation of our practice all the time. So whenever we're having issues kind of getting anxious or up in our heads, we usually don't have very much energy flowing down to the feet and legs. And so an immediate way to ground ourselves and to really get in touch with the environment around us and instantly feel we're safe is to send energy to the feet and the legs. And so this is how we can do it. We send our awareness there. And so first you're going to check in and find your pubic bone and rock toward it. You'll find a nice little curve in your back, and you can kind of wiggle around and wiggle into it. And then you want to rock back toward your tailbone. Just giving that space a little bit of stimulation, pressure. And then coming right into the center, right onto the perineum. So we're gonna just imagine that we're dropping down this golden thread down through the crown of your head, and then sending it all the way through the center of your brain, down through your throat, through your heart, through your belly, and then through that perineum and down into the ground. So that gives us this rooting experience. So imagining that you're growing roots down underneath you and connecting with the earth underneath you. And then you're using that little thread to just gently encourage your spine to lift up tall. So first finding that opposition, the grounding through your perineum, and then the lifting through the crown of the head. And once you have all that space in the spine, you can let the shoulders rise and fall a few times, rolling them out. You can get kind of jiggy with it. And first, I want you to just kind of breathe into any kind of physical tension that you may be feeling and locate it in your body. Notice where it is. Notice the quality of it. Is it heavy, sticky? Is it like a sharp pain, or is it a dull ache? Like, really notice those characteristics of that tension. And then breathing into it with your inhale. And on your exhale, just imagining that you can release that tension like it's this little snap that you can just kind of pull apart. We'll do that 2 more times. Breathing in, letting the eyes be soft, finding, locating where that tension is. Is it in my shoulders? Is it in the back of the neck? Is it in my head? And then breathing it out with the exhale. And last one. And releasing. And you can let it out, really let it out like a sigh. I want you to feel empowered during this whole practice to really vocalize anything that needs to come out through your throat. This is your private practice, so you get to express yourself in whatever way feels right for you. All right, so let's just inhale, arms up overhead. Very simple. You can touch the hands together at the top, make this little sword of clarity. And then squeeze the hands together and reach out in front of you. Like you're really cutting down on what you no longer need very much of. You're cutting that out. And then just bend the elbows and then reach it all the way up again. Big breath in. And go ahead and slice through any entanglements, anything that you're just ready to like cut into pieces. maybe it's like just something that is a big project that you just need to kind of pare down, and go ahead and roll through that flow one more time, inhaling it, reaching up. So cutting down that big project that you want to do into little steps that are actionable, that you can really chew up and then absorb. Nice. And then release. Go ahead and shake out your hands. I want us to just get into those little spaces, little nooks and crannies that don't seem like all that big, but your hands and wrists have so much going on. When you shake it all out and really get into all of those little spaces, you can see my shoulders are moving, my arms are moving. This is also affecting my armpits, my obliques. And so you're shaking out any stuck stress hormones, anything that got stuck during the day. Shake it up high. You can give yourself a little wiggle through the lower body too, maybe kind of bouncing up and down. And this is more good stimulation for the root chakra that will help you to feel safe. Nice. Feel that tingling in your hands. See if you can feel a pulse there. Just take your attention to your hands for a moment and breathe into that. Beautiful. So we're going to do a little self-adjustment here. And you're actually going to grab hold of your hand, doesn't matter which one, and just grab so that your so you can get like the back of your wrist, right where your hand meets the wrist, and use the bones, use the structure of your wrist to massage out any little kinks in the spine. And you can go ahead and stand up for this and give your legs a little moment to just stretch out. And so play around with this. Really make some side movements, maybe roll yourself around a little bit, press into that hand, maybe get the hips going. Again, we're just really gonna find whatever we need in this moment and get into those tender spaces and trust yourself. It's just a fun little way to support yourself, to work out, to adjust. And then take the other hand, same thing. And so when I hold them, I'm actually getting them palm together. So I'm making a really good connection there. I'm joining the feminine and the masculine sides, letting them have a little time to communicate through the palms. And I like to use my breath here intuitively as well. You heard it there. It was like a little wind rustling in the trees. That is how I release tension. So I've got a lot going on the left and right sides of my spine right now. And the back of the hand on that space is going to help me to release any inflammation. So if you ever want to know how to do some healing touch on yourself, backs of the hands are always going to be cooling. They unwind things, unravel. And then the palms of your hands are warming, they're energizing. So if you need to power something up, you want to put palms on. If you want to let go of heat, you put the backs of the hands on. So a really good thing to do just when you wake up in the morning is unblock your sacral energy. So what you can do is take the backs of the hands onto the sacrum. So go ahead and just stack left hand first and then the right hand. And you can do those 3 breaths like we just did. So an inhale and then exhale out through the mouth. That's more of that cooling exhale that's going to release any inflammation and heat. So again, good. And then we're going to energize the sacrum. So you can even give your hands a little rub and point those fingertips down and take that big breath in and exhale, sending that energy down to your feet and your legs. Big breath in. Really think that you can breathe into the space of your womb, into your creative energy and flow. And then letting out. And last one. And out. And then you can take a little grounding mudra here. So we're just gonna come into very simple mountain pose, Tadasana, if you will. And feet can be about hip width distance. You're gonna have a slight bend in the knees, but it's really just this softening through the backs of the knees. So it's not like you're, hanging out here. You're still keeping the legs nice and extended. And I want you to even think that you're pulling energy up from the earth, bringing it all the way up towards your head, and then letting that energy melt back down and melt any of the tension as it moves back down to your feet. But then we're gonna take a little mudra here. So peace sign fingers, and 3 breaths again. So inhaling, letting it out. In and out. In and out. Beautiful. Okay, so take the feet a little bit wider here. What we've done is we have calmed the nervous system so that we can now do a little bit more intuitive work. So bring that right arm up overhead and then reach up and over. You can slide your left arm down your leg and maybe just gently press into it. You want to open up that left shoulder and think of also squeezing it down onto your back so you can still reach out through the fingers, but think that that shoulder is really anchored down. And maybe look up at the hand, take a good breath. Good, and kind of back, and we're gonna take it to the other side. Very, very simple, right? So you can even take your your right hand onto that hip and sort of bump the opposite hip out if you want to intensify it or if you need some low back loving. Big breath in. Breathing into the sides of your waist, breathing into the low back, reaching up out of that low back and out of the hip space. Taking one more breath. Good. Take it all the way back up. Good. And we're keeping it nice and simple today. So we're going to take a little half lift here. Stay nice and long through the legs, but you can see I'm wiggling around my hips here, just playing. And then I'm going to let my shoulders come in along for the ride. And maybe start to do a little circling here. So maybe bending into the knees a little bit more, really reaching the hips back behind you, starting to make some circles. And I really love to use my body as a support. So I've got my forearms on my legs, so making good connection there, and I'm leveraging that connection. I'm gently pressing into my legs as I round. And I'm also pressing back up into my arms with the legs. Nice, okay. So keep that spine nice and long. Go ahead and reach the crown of your head long and reach the tailbone back. Push down into all 4 corners of your feet. You're gonna drop your left hand down and reach your opposite arm up toward the sky. Big deep breath in here. And then just exhale it down. Good. Other side. And actually go ahead and recommit to your foundation here. So redistribute the weight through your feet. So left foot has a good amount of weight, right foot has a good amount of weight, and they're even. And then go ahead and lift up that opposite arm. Maybe looking up at the sky if that's okay for your neck. If that doesn't feel good, you can always gaze down at your hand. Good, go ahead and float that back down. Wiggle it out just a little more. And then we're gonna take a little bit of side lunging here. So just bending into one knee, straightening the opposite leg, bending into the other knee, straightening that opposite leg. And we wanna make sure that the alignment is good here, so the knee just comes right over the ankle and you're really weighting into your heels. So the stretch is in the back of the legs, it's in the inner thighs. Just a couple more times, keeping that spine nice and long, keeping the shoulders soft and away from the ears. Nice. And then you're gonna turn the toes out to about 10 and 2. And then we're just gonna take this side to side, nice and easy. And then add on a little side body reach. So reach over toward that side that you're bending the knee on and just play around. Just some nice energizing movement. We're opening up the arms. We're getting the lymph moving through the armpits. Always a good idea. You can play with the gaze, looking up toward the hand, or you can keep that gaze right out in front of you. That feels better for your neck. Good, and come on back and walk the feet back in. Just gonna let that spine have a noodle. Nice. And I always use movement to help me so that I can then get still and get the guidance that I need. So if there's a question that you have, if you're curious about how you should move forward with your day, if you need to rest or work harder, those are good questions to ask. You can ask yourself that question now. So just closing the eyes and again, finding your good solid foundation, finding the perineum, lifting the spine up and away, chin slightly down. And if you're open to just receiving the answer with grace, you can just take the backs of the hands onto the legs, palms open, ready to receive. Asking yourself the question, noticing if any sensations come up, noticing where they are in your body. And then you can ask, what will contribute to my expansion or my joy? What's gonna feel good for me today? And really try and drum up that like pleasant feeling, like that excitement. Like take a moment to locate a memory that feels really good for you. Beautiful. So now taking the left hand onto your heart and right hand on top of that, just feeling into that moment again, that joyful moment. Maybe it's just like the sun is shining and you got to spend some time outside with the fresh air, the wind blowing all around you, just connecting with your nature and great Mother Nature. And just send a little bit of joy to somebody close to you or somebody that you may be having some issues with right now. And can you wish them well? Can you bless them? Can you imagine shooting them a little bit of love? So good. And I am really sending all that love to you. I'm so thankful that you've taken this time to practice with me and to grow deeper in your own wisdom and intuition. So we're just gonna take one more breath, opening the arms up, bringing them up overhead, palms kiss at the top, and then bring that down through the center of your body. May the light and love in you glow brighter and warmer with every breath. Namaste. See you later.